Hey Monica, how are you? Hey Donna, getting ready to lay my head down and look at the backside of my eyelids and get a notification that you're live. Laugh aloud. Can't stay, my brain is fried. Want to say sup. What's up? Get some sleep. Thanks for stopping in and saying hello. I appreciate it. Hey Jenny. Yeah, I'm doing fine, Monica. Thanks. I'm assuming that means you guys can hear me. I was streaming on D Live last night, and I had quite a bit of not only technical issues but audio issues as well. I guess that's tech issues. Also, but night, Donna. Hope you're doing well. Oh wait, any turkeys yet? Or hens? If you're still here. If not, I'll ask you later. But yeah, so I was streaming on D-Live last night, and I don't know why, but all my audio settings just got all whacked out. And so when I tried to play a video, if I didn't remember to mute it, then it would, and then I turned my microphone on, it would make this really strange, like, alien, weird sci-fi noise. I don't know, it's just very strange, but no babies yet. They're set to hatch the 25th. Oh, okay, cool. I want to pictures, send me pictures, please. So cute. Yeah, right, Jenny? Watts number 3. No shit. Um, I did a little bit more research on that when, right before I went live, but really weird. What did I say? I was messaging my friend. Let me see what I said exactly here. Or maybe I won't read that because it'll probably confuse everybody on YouTube. And I almost said AOL again. That's so weird. But I didn't. I did, but I didn't. But yeah, I'm gonna go over it more on D Live for sure, Jenny. But then I'm like thinking, I'm like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I thought that the Alan Watts that I like, as I just said, I'm not gonna go into it and confuse people. Was the one that actually coined the term predictive programming. But regardless, like, why does it seem like this guy is completely like mimicking the Alan Watts that died in 1973, the one who should, in my opinion, be getting, I mean, I don't know a lot about this Alan Watt guy yet, but I mean, okay, so I'm just going to go into it. What are the odds that, one, you can barely find any information on him, right? On the Alan Watt. And he's supposed to be this, from all the comments and everything, right? Oh my God, he's wonderful. I've been listening to him for 20 years. He's great. And like just praising this guy. And Miss Conspiracy Theory over here. And I've never even like heard of the guy. I mean, again, maybe I did mistake him for the other one like a while back. just based off of that one, like, quote. But besides that, I've never heard this guy speak ever before in all my conspiracy years, which is not, like, a ton, but enough to have known who this guy is, right? So you can barely find any information on him. Some of the articles that we read on DLive were claiming that he was a philosopher, a researcher, a writer, an author, a musician that played with several, well-known musicians. Why can I say musicians? Like, I never have a problem saying that word when I'm not live, but then when I'm live, it's like, I can't speak. Like, Zav Girl was just, like, going through the exact same thing on her live, and I'm like, oh my god, girl, I feel ya. So he's supposed to play, with these well-known musicians, and but yet on his website they don't bother to name which ones they are. You think that would be something they would want to, like, brag about, right? Maybe not. I don't know. So again, philosopher, researcher, writer, author, musician. I still said that funny. Actor, and also conspiracy theorist, right? And truther. And again, never heard of him. And then they say that Alan Watt, no S, wrote books on religion and philosophy, but that he wrote them under a pseudonym. So why would he want to hide behind, like, those kind of books, right? Like, that's something that you definitely, that people want to be known for, right? Their knowledge in philosophy and science and whatever, and that's why they give Nobel Peace Prize awards and everything. So it's just weird that why would he go? It's not like people are going to because life isn't going to be threatened for writing a book on philosophy. Do you know what I mean? So to me, that's weird. But then he writes, a couple of those books that I showed you. Wait, were you here? Were you there last night, Jenny? For a little bit? You were, right? I don't know. I'm getting last night confused with the night before. But last night I showed a couple of his, like, acting, or his how to write a book in 45 days or something, or a novel in however many days, and then another book on that movie that he was allegedly in. And I've never seen him in any of these shows either, so I'll have to look those up as well. But and I'll fill you guys in on YouTube what I'm talking about here in a second, without completely trying to confuse you guys and myself. Okay, and then I also told her, I said, what are the odds that, one, he has practically the same name as Alan Watts, with an S, who died in 1973. So instead of Alan Watts, it's Alan Watt, no S. Two, again, he's allegedly a researcher, philosopher, writer, author, teacher, just like Alan Watts, with an S. You passed out. Okay, that's okay. I didn't think you were, but then I was like, oh my god, if she was, then I'll feel really bad. But, and it's not like I have hundreds of people in my chat to where I wouldn't remember. It's just me. And then third, his voice mannerisms are really, really similar to Alan Watts, with an S, who I almost said passed because I was reading your comment, Jenny, who, well, I guess it could be passed away, who died in 1973. Even at the speed that he talks, and just how he opens up his podcast, I don't know, very strange. That's all I've come up with so far. I mean, that I've written down, but Hey, Dave. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Oh, and also, so there was a stream earlier today, and I didn't get a notification, so I was like, well, okay, I knew it wasn't just me that it was happening to, but I was like, well, so that's weird. But what I did is I went to, where you have to, like, they say ring the bell, like, so, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell. There's, like, options. I'm sure you guys know this already, but I forget to do that sometimes. But there's when you click on the bell, there's a drop down menu or a box will open up, and you can either do personal, none, or I think there's one other one, but make sure you do all. Oh, it's all. Make sure you hit all, because, and I don't even know what personal means. I know what personal means, but I don't know what personal notifications are, because it doesn't give you, like, as far as I know, another option to, like, just get notified about specific ones. So I'm not really sure, but just make sure you hit all. So, and if it's not, like, when you guys go to check that, if you do, and you have it on, personal, I can't remember what it is, but I don't want to go to my YouTube app right now, but, and if it's not clicked on all, then that might be the reason why you guys aren't getting my notifications. So, I don't know, I figured try it, or at least look and see if that's the case, and then if you do happen to have it on the all setting, then beats me. So, Monica, you asked about the significance behind or of the oil battery tanks, the side by side. Is that what you're referring to? Hey, Catherine. When I went on Shan stream earlier, I logged in, and first video was Alan Watt. What do you mean, Jenny? Shan stream earlier, I logged in. Oh, okay, Monica. Usually, like, in Freemasonry or in, with occult symbolism, you'll oftentimes see them, like specifically in these events, you'll find, like, for instance, in the October 1 event that happened before, the tragic event, right? That happened in Vegas. Behind the concert area, or the concert grounds, and behind the stage, there were two tall, like, I don't know what they were. They weren't water towers, or they're, like, lookout towers. I'm not really sure. There was nothing in them. They were just very tall and skinny, and stairs lead up to them. So I don't know. Lookout towers. Who knows? But either way, the side by side represents the Masonic pillars. So if you look up Masonic pillars, or trying to remember the two names that they represent, but it's Boaz and I can't remember the other one right now off the top of my head, but if you just look up Masonic pillars, you can see, it'll tell you the meaning behind it and stuff. But so just like also with 9/11, you have the two twin towers side by side representing the Masonic pillars. They also like duality. Now, I'm not saying for a fact, obviously, that that's what they're representing, or that they represent. They could very well be just two towers right next to each other, right? But, and that's the thing with conspiracy theories or whatever, or the kind of things that I'm talking about with this case is, unless you know about how they use the symbolism in these events, it will seem obviously conspiratorial. But, it's when we keep seeing repetitive things happening over and over and over and over again in these cases, right? So it's the patterns that support, what I'm saying. And just like the numbers being used over and over and over again, and all the same red flags that I talk about being used in all of these events. And the thing is they're not hiding it. They literally put it, in plain sight. And again, they don't hide it at all. And it's mockery, in my opinion. But they know, right? They know that the majority of people are never going to notice these kinds of things, right? They're not going to notice the numerology and the predictive programming that I've exposed, I guess you could say, in this case with the American Horror Story, and it goes beyond American Horror Story. It's even a sub of mine. She said, Megan, do you remember when Chris said that something about the show Criminal Minds? And I actually, even though I've heard those interviews many, many times, there's stuff that even I miss. And I didn't recall him saying that. But I can't remember if she knew the show or she watched it all the time, but there was one in particular episode, but then there was, I guess, several others she said that kind of mimicked the case. And the one that she told me about specifically, the Criminal Minds episode, was about the Zodiac Killer, and I immediately went, huh? Zodiac Killer? What'd you say? I don't know if I heard you correctly. Did you say, or read your comment correctly, did you say Zodiac Killer? So, because if you've seen my American Horror Story connection videos, I mention an episode in the season of Cults, and it's dedicated entirely to the Zodiac Killer. So, and then you have the anonymous phone call, right? In the Discovery by Daniel Franzarek. And I tried, and immediately I'm like, Franzarek? I'm like, I know that there's really weird last names or whatever, or maybe not common ones. And so, but either way, I still looked it up. And I couldn't find any background or whatever about or genealogy of the last name Franzarek. So it's in my opinion clearly a made-up name, but the anonymous tip calls in and says it's their name's Daniel Franzarek, and that Chris may not be the biological father of the girls, and that this what is it? I can't believe I can't remember it right now. I freaking tried to decipher it for like 2 weeks, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, I'm so close. But, I think it's Daniel Olson. I don't know. But that he may be the actual biological father to the girls, and that guy is somehow connected or related to the Zodiac Killer. Probably, no, not probably, but if we just go based on the narrative, right, it's more than likely somebody calling in to, be an ass, like just to be the anonymous caller that has to try and screw everything up, right? But if you look at it from my theory and in my perspective, the majority of what they put in this case means something. So just like, one of my subscribers that told me about Criminal Minds, again, she either knew about it and noticed it, or she heard Chris say that and went and searched Criminal Minds and found that episode. And of course I was going somewhere with that, and then I got off track. Hey, if walls could talk. Anyone ever heard of the... Oh, shoot. I just passed it. Hey, Miss Aggregated. Thank you for the lemons. Hope you're doing well. Oh, you're going to bed? All right. Sleep well. When you logged on YouTube, Jenny, the first video was out. Did you ever search for it? Or for him? I think you said you did, didn't you? If not, then that definitely proves that they're listening to everything we're saying. But I want to find that comment. Oh my gosh, I was just talking again and I was muted. Hey, Ara. Heart Eyes, good to see you. Susan. If Walls Could Talk. I like that name. It's a cool name. Very clever names, a lot of you guys have. Hey, Mary Rose. And then there was another comment. I'm looking for your comment, Monica, about the as above, so below, because I was actually just going to bring that up about the oil tanks, or the oil batteries. Okay, here it is. I have to ask my son, for he lives in Vegas, the duality as in the what's above as, or what's above as so below. Okay, sorry about that. So yes, they love their duality. So that's why you'll see like these prime numbers like 11, 33, anything that's the double. CC, Sherilyn Cadle is CC, you have Kevin Kobach, KK, a lot of again, double letters, double numbers. letters that end in, again, the same letter like Kevin Kovac. You have, they like their pattern, their fancy pattern. So any dates that are, you know, like 2/12/22 or something, you know, they also like those. Keep a lookout for stuff like that. But what's interesting, the fact that you mentioned the as above, so below, and the duality is in the discovery. Hey, Zav. I was just talking about you. In the discovery, when it talks about the hazmat team pulling the girls out of the tanks, again, a lot of what they put in this case means something, okay? So in that part of the discovery, they say, so, and this isn't word for word, obviously, but they're talking about how they're taking one of the girls out, and they mention specifically that one of the girls, and again, I don't remember, I'd have to pull up the discovery. I guess I could do that real quick. Let me see if I can do that. So I can give receipts, you know. But it might take a minute because my computer's really slow, and you guys know that, right? If it's still in there, who knows? I haven't checked the discovery online in a while, so I would be curious to know if, I mean, I think quite a few of the creators probably have the original discovery downloaded, so it'd be interesting to compare the online one to the original that was first released before they started redacting it and removing stuff out of it, to see what exactly they did remove or redact. It now, I don't know what that's all about. And then when you go to search something, it's like totally different setup. Okay, and then I click on it and it disappears. Sergeant Luke Armstrong. Okay, I'm just trying to get it. Oh, document. Okay, why does it do that? I go and I search for hazmat, and then it comes up with the results, and then I go to document, and it takes me all the way back to the top. So I'm just gonna, it's faster on my phone. Find the page number and then I'll pull it up that way. Hey, Ola, it's me. Ola, it's me. So I always want to say your name. Ola. Baphomet, yep. Yep, exactly. And it's interesting too is that Kessinger, in her photo where she's at the sand dunes, I think she's standing on her board. I don't know if she's standing on the board or, yeah, she's standing on her sandboard, and the way she's posing, it looks like almost identical to that Baphomet, as above, so below. Okay, once again, I click on it, and then, oh my gosh. Okay, page number, discovery page 82. Okay, well, that wasn't it. Okay. Let me just, remove the chat there for a second. Okay. Okay, at about 15-30 hours, CSP hazmat crew entered the oil tank battery and found who we believed to be Celeste Watts. The juvenile was wearing a diaper, which I still have an issue with to this day. At the fact that her diaper was still, and I don't know, did they say it was a pull-up or was it a diaper? Because I always thought it was a pull-up, and there it says diaper, and that's, I mean, they're different, so, for the most part. Okay. That's it. Hold on, guys. Sorry, this is interesting here. Do you guys know who Christian Moore is? M-O-H-R. Why does that federal, okay, Graham Coder, Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and then it says Christian Moore, Agent, 5810, Fugitive Sex Offender, CBI Denver. Oh, that's his department he works in. Okay, I was like, why does it say there's a sex offender in here? All right. Okay, I think I found it. Discovery page 1083. Except what page number is it? 966. A grid search was performed around the premises of the oil tank site, which led to the discovery of a third piece of the rake that Chris is just so freaking stupid to leave there, right? Just sticking right out of the ground. But he's supposed to have a 140 IQ. Okay, moving on. That was recovered the previous evening. I took custody of the rake pieces as evidence from CBI crime scene analyst Dave Yoakum. You know what's funny? And I might do this if we're going to be looking at the discovery. I might point out some things that I notice that I just haven't brought up in my videos and stuff. But you see the name Yoakum. If you guys have, been following me for a while and you watch my videos, I talk a lot about how they like their anagrams, right? So, like the child's name on the wall, Eli, which is an anagram for lie. And then you have right here Yoakum, and it says, if you switch it around, it's you could do MUCOY, McCoy. Like Troy McCoy. I mean, obviously a little bit different spelling, but just throwing that out there. Just thought that was interesting. Okay. Brett Schisler reported the east oil tank level was approximately 9 feet from the ground, which equates to 188 barrels, or 7,926 gallons of crude, and the west tank oil level was approximately 1.4 feet, which equates to 28 barrels, or 1,192 gallons of crude. The oil tanks are 12 feet in diameter and 20 feet tall. It should be noted the actual amount of oil removed and tank dimensions were provided to me by Anadarko field foreman Luke Eppel. Okay. The thief hatch opened, located at the top of each tank, is approximately 8 inches in diameter. And not only that, but it has like a small lip on the inside, like very, very small. But when you're, trying to fit something into a hole that's much, much smaller, everything little bit counts. You know what I mean? So even that small lip on the inside would even affect something going in that tank. Do you know what I mean? I'm just skipping through this because I just want to find that part that I was talking about. Okay, this is rather interesting, but based on several photos I viewed previously and the information about the girl's bedtime clothing Watts disclosed in his interview, I believed those are the key words you need to look out for. They use that a lot, like on like the Science Channel with all the astronomy documentaries. They say we believe, or scientists believe, that this is how many miles per hour the wind is on Mars, or this is what planet's made up of. So it's like they got to throw that believe in there, so you can't. They wouldn't be lying, right? But it's just interesting when they use those words, and then they try to, throw them out there as factual at the same time. So I believe the descendant was Bella Watts. I assisted Joey in securing the descendant into a gurney and placing her into the coroner's vehicle. And then it goes to and that's the thing too that I just thought of. What was I can't remember what that it was on like page 97 of the discovery, that one, the section that I just looked up prior to this one, about the oil tank batteries. It's like, why is everything so scattered? Like it seems like nothing's in order. You know what I mean? It's just a big old clusterfuck. Like, how in the hell are they supposed to do this? You got them talking about the oil tanks and pulling the girls out here and draining the tanks. Then you have the other one that I just mentioned. And then I know there's another section, because that's the section I'm looking for, where it specifically states, unless I wouldn't be surprised if they deleted it out of the discovery, so that when I go, hey guys, check this out, let me point something out to you, and then it's not there, and then well, Megan is a freaking kook, right? She has no idea what she's talking about. She's saying that there's stuff about as above, so below, and all this stuff, and no evidence of that in the discovery, but it's okay, because I do have a screenshot of that somewhere, if that's the case. Unless they busted into my phone, which I highly doubt, so. But it is pretty weird how it says, I guess it's not weird, but just the weird part that this Denver Post guy and the whole setup of this is different. Okay, this is weird. I don't even know where are you supposed to click on this? Like, what the Sorry, I'll get back to the chat here in a second, you guys, but yeah, that's the same one that I just looked up. Okay, well, I'm gonna find that screenshot for you guys, but so now that I just wasted all that time, let me get the chat back up here so I can see you guys. Okay, it says in the discovery that, hey Beetlejuice, when they first found one of the girls, one of them was face down in one of the tanks, and the other one was face up. And again, if you know how these people operate and their symbolism, and like Monica mentioned, the as above, so below, which is something that they follow. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but that's what they use. You know, that's their whole motto, right? So it was interesting when I read that part and how they specifically mentioned that one of the girls was face down and one of the girls was face up. And again, I didn't bring that up in like any of my videos, just because it's one of those things where it's not like solid. It's not a solid piece of, I don't want to say evidence, but it's not a solid, piece of symbolism, I guess you could say. So I didn't put it in my video, but it is very significant that they mentioned that one of the girls was face down and the other one was face up. So sorry for that whole waste of time on the discovery, but I will find it. Hey John. All right. Did you want me to post your email in the chat, because it didn't post it because it was a link. So, but I mean, obviously you don't mind because you put it in there, but I just wanted to ask just to make sure. Oh yes, sorry. YouTube, say hello to DLive. DLive, say hello to YouTube. I've never formally introduced everybody when I do this because I'm multi-streaming. So, and thank you for the donations, Beetlejuice, if you're still here. Megan, do you know anything regarding Phoenix Order and Golden Dawn? The Phoenix Order sounds familiar, but I'm not. Golden Dawn doesn't sound familiar. No, but it sounds interesting, and I definitely will look it up. Unless you want to fill me in a nutshell. Hey, NHS. Are you taking off, John? Where is NK and why is she invisible? That's one of the $1 million questions. And the problem with that is I can only tell you that I've seen that happen before. Again in another case, and I mentioned it earlier, and I don't want to mention it too much, even though people probably think you're over exaggerating, but I'm really not, and I'm not going to keep repeating myself because I promised myself I was going to work on that. So, but in the case that I mentioned earlier, that again, remember that when I talk about these other cases, I mean, as much as I can on YouTube, on DLive, if I'm not multi-streaming and I'm on DLive, I can talk about it all I want. Here I can't. So again, we're going to have to do the whole Megan stuttering her words and trying to figure out how to reword everything, and talking code, right? And rhyming words. But when I mention these other tragic events that I believe are similar to this case, these aren't just like events or cases where everything adds up, right? Where it's open and shut and there's no inconsistencies. The narrative is, I mean, obviously no narrative I'm sure is going to be 100% perfect, but you're going to have these events that I'm trying to show you guys that have holes in their narratives, inconsistencies, more questions than answers, right? Nothing makes sense. Everyone, for some reason, can't get away from it. They're trying to figure it out, what the hell happened. So, it's not that I believe that everything is orchestrated or that nothing is real, right? That's not what I'm saying. But of course, again, I have those few individuals that have to put words in my mouth for me because, I mean, I guess, bless their hearts, maybe they're just trying to help me since I normally can't get words out just on my own, but they're putting the wrong words in my mouth. They need to help me with the right ones. But they're putting words in my mouth by saying that I just think everything is a conspiracy theory and that everything, again, is orchestrated, and that's simply not the case. Or that I don't think that murder is real. I mean, that's just stupid. Okay. Obviously murder is 100% real. Happens all the time. So the only ones that I am questioning, I'm not questioning every single homicide case. I'm not questioning every single tragic event. I'm only questioning, and other people, other truth channels are only questioning the ones that have, again, the holes in their narrative that don't add up, that we're not stupid and we can clearly see, right, that things don't add up. So I just want, I don't want people to think I'm heartless and like, how could you say that about those other events? Because there's victims and, but again, I'm not, I can't worry about hurting other people's feelings anymore, unfortunately. I mean, of course I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings or that has been affected by any of these cases or events. But I started covering this case for a reason, and that is to expose the truth. And if that means, unfortunately, making a few enemies and hurting a few feelings or hearts, then that's what's going to have to be done, unfortunately. Now I don't remember the question. Worst streamer ever. I guess I just feel like I always have to justify myself with this case because, and that's, unfortunate because people just get so offended. Like, they're just so emotionally affected by these tragic events, and that's why they make them, again, so tragic. And I know that I sound repetitive, but again, these are very, very important. The things I repeat are very important as far as what I'm trying to show you guys. So, hey, Unjustified, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Oh, okay, John. I thought you were saying, like, peace out. Yeah, I don't either. And hopefully I read into that question that I was just trying to answer. Unless somebody wants to remind me because, oh my gosh, terrible. I can't see how the poor girls were squeezed through those hatch without any injury to them. That's maybe why the autopsy reports are redacted. Oh, I remember the question. The redacted reminded me. Thank you, NHS. And then I'll get back to your question as well, hopefully. Kessinger falling off the face of the earth, right? Why they make these certain individuals in these cases disappear, I don't have a exact answer for. But again, all what I was trying to get to before I got off track there, because I felt like I had to justify myself again. But hey, I see through. Oh wait, what's going on? I'm still beating a dead horse. Look, your email, I see through things, is very, very, very long. And I think I'm still, and I told you that I'm not ignoring it. And I think I'm still trying to even process the whole thing. It was, and I don't want to, I definitely don't want to talk about it on here. But since you addressed me on here, which I don't understand why. But again, I told you that I wasn't trying to be rude, but I believe it or not, I am busy, and I would literally have to, I probably have to read it all again just to, I don't know, just to understand everything that you wrote in the letter, or the email. And it's going to take me a minute to respond back to you. So I just want to be able to sit down and not have to do it like in parts, because, or unless you just want me to say nothing about it and just be vague. But I don't. Again, I'm not trying to be rude. I wasn't trying to ignore you, and I did tell you that I would get back to you, and I will, and I meant that. But I don't really appreciate you saying that I'm beating a dead horse, especially since I'm limited to what I can talk to on about on here. I can't come out and just say, look, this is what I believe about this. This is what I believe about this. I cannot do it. It's taken me over 2.5 years just to get 2,000 subs, and it's not that subs are important, but those 2,000 subs are important to me, So I do not want to lose everything that I've worked so hard for, and to expose this case. So if I have to beat a dead horse, then I'll beat a dead horse. And YouTube, no animals were harmed in the making of this live stream, during this live stream. But that's the thing. I didn't ignore you. I told you that when I got a chance, I would respond back to you. And I don't understand why I'm being attacked right now. I mean, because I could have responded right away, and I could have just responded and said, oh, okay, thanks for the email. And then just didn't say anything in response to any of it, right? But that's not what I want to do. I want to be able to, again, respond to everything that you told me, instead of just going, oh, thanks for the email, and whatever. No, I don't feel like I should have to explain myself, and I don't understand. I'm obviously not going to say any of the contents of the email, because that would be disrespectful. But I definitely don't deserve to be attacked. So I don't know what to do about that. So moving on. Okay, back to what I was saying. I don't know why they have some of these characters, and I'm going to call them characters, in these events. Disappear, but again, I go by patterns in consistency, right? And that's what you see in these events, is the same itinerary, the same protocol, the same red flags, the same symbolism, the same numerology, right? And so they use all these tactics in these events, and they're not going to switch them up as long as they're working, right? Why would they? All I can tell you is that I've seen it happen before, as far as them disappearing. So with that case that I mentioned earlier that happened in Vegas, and I apologize to anybody who thinks that I'm beating a dead horse or that this is repetitive, but again, how many times have people asked, where is Nicole Kessinger? Why hasn't she come out and gave an interview, or public interview, or a public statement, or wrote a book? She's looking up Amber Fry, right? And so why hasn't she Where is she? Well, in the other case that I'm talking about that happened just a year, right, or so before this case, there was the girlfriend, right, that was dating the alleged killer. She was the closest person to him. He had family, but he didn't have, like, he was kind of like they would talk here and there. They were estranged, kind of. So, she would be the closest person to him. Like, so he didn't have kids. So, like, normally in a homicide case, the person who found the body, the person who called 911, the spouse, or the person who's closest to him, or the person who last saw the deceased, the one who was, killed, those are going to be your main suspects, right? First and foremost. So, considering that she was the closest person to him at the time, she should have been investigated, like, thoroughly. But based on the narrative and based on what we were shown, she was not, the girlfriend of the alleged shooter was not investigated. She was treated as a victim. She was never given a polygraph test. As far as we know, because again, we can only go based off of what the information that they released to us tells us. And then we don't even know if that's factual. I mean, of course, we would take it all as factual, but it wasn't until people started to notice inconsistencies in the discovery, and in this case, is when it's like, okay, what's going on here, right? So, based on the narrative, she wasn't investigated, wasn't given a polygraph test, and that was it. Because, of course, how convenient that the shooter committed suicide right before SWAT entered the hotel room, okay? It's very, very convenient in these types of cases. Now, of course, with the Watts case, he didn't kill himself, and he wasn't shot, but it also didn't go to trial, and he's also allegedly in prison. So, and dead men tell no tales. So it's convenient that he, the shooter in this other case committed suicide. So, I started to see the similarities between Kessinger and the girlfriend of the shooter in the other event. And that was one of the red flags in this case for me. It was like, that's weird, because I extensively followed that event in Vegas from the day it happened. And I was on YouTube every single day. I was on the internet researching it. I didn't make videos on it. I made two 35-second ones about voice comparison. But there was more than enough people that were doing a great job on that case. So they didn't need me. But and that's the thing, there's still people trying to figure out what in the hell happened with that case. But that's a whole nother, I don't want to get off track. So I'm like, I knew the ins and outs of that case, that event, and when I, following this case, I just started to see all the same similarities between the two, between Kessinger and the girlfriend and the other one. Again, treated like a victim, even though they were both the closest they were both the closest person. I guess you could consider them things. But, or at least Kessinger. Anyway, they were the closest people to the accused, right? The ones who committed these heinous acts, allegedly. They were both never given a polygraph. They were both never treated as a suspect, never interrogated. You couldn't find hardly any information on either one. So the girlfriend in the other event, she did have a Facebook, but it wasn't, I don't think it was left up, it was taken down. And we only got a couple photographs of her and the alleged shooter, and I think a couple with her friends. So both her and Kessinger have hardly like any history, right? Like it's very, very difficult to find any information on a lot of these people in these events. When normally you can go and go online and you can find a plethora of information about, any average person. But why does it seem like, a lot of these people in this case, don't have like a history? It only starts from pretty much, they give you like, when they got married and when they had the girls, and they threw in one of Chris's family photos, right? That family photo. So they'll throw that in there. But there's no like history. It only starts from pretty much like where they want the narrative to start, right? Which is right around the time that Chris and Shanann got married and moved to Colorado. And then obviously it goes from there, leading up to, the murders. So, but it's like they don't have any history. It's just very hard to find information on them, okay? So with the girlfriend of the other event, same thing. We got a couple pictures, just like we got a couple pictures of Kessinger from social media. So obviously her friends didn't do that great of a job scrubbing her, right? Nobody, and I mean nobody, not even people that wanted their 50, as far as I know, nobody that even wanted their 15 minutes of fame came out and said that they knew the girlfriend of the alleged shooter in that other case. So no friends, no like family. I don't think her family would do that, but no enemies, no like teachers or whatever, like just nobody came out and claimed or could prove, right, that they knew this woman whatsoever. So again, they're like ghosts almost, but you just have that amount of information that fits into the narrative. Right, no digital footprint, exactly. Thank you, Ara. She never came out and gave a public statement. Right? So, like, even if, like, to the public, she did have her lawyer, or her attorney that was representing her, give a public statement, but she never went on Dr. Phil. She never went on Ellen. She never, no news interviews, whether it be mainstream or, social media, like nothing. She vanished, gone. Maybe it's because they were in Vegas and David Blaine or something made her disappear. I don't know. Hey, that makes sense. At least I could use it for that scenario. I don't know any magicians in Colorado, so I can't say that they made Kessinger disappear. Maybe she made herself disappear with her witchcraft or something, right? Maybe her spell went wrong and she made herself disappear. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, so the girlfriend of that other event never did any interviews at all. Nothing. Gone. Off the face of the round earth or flat earth, whatever you believe, or whatever shape you believe it is. Gone. So it's like, that's the kind of things I'm talking about as far as consistency and patterns go. As far as, I guess, proving my theory. And I know that's hard because I don't have, like, a lot of it is only based off, like, of circumstantial evidence, but I think that the patterns are a lot stronger than just circumstantial evidence. Because it's like, how many times can you have the same things happen over and over and over again? And not only that, but they happen continuingly in events where the narrative doesn't add up, right? So how many times does that have to happen for people to realize that it's not a coincidence any longer? The proof is in the patterns, in my opinion. So again, what are the odds that the same thing happened with Kissinger that happened with the other? And again, both the closest people to the accused, right? And the other event, we're talking about one of the biggest, if not the biggest, pew 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 event in U.S. history, right? And now with the Watts case, you're talking about a quadruple homicide case. Quadruple homicide case, you guys. And they didn't bother to investigate Nicole Kessinger. And not only that, but they didn't bother to investigate her properly, but they released all the information and made themselves look like incompetent or fools. So that's the thing. If they were going to cover this case up, or if Anadarko wanted it, open and shut, or they wanted to make it go away, why would they release so much information in the case? Why would they release all the body cam footage? Why would they keep Shanann's Facebook open for the whole world to see? Why would they release the discovery? Why would they release any of the footage of Chris in prison and if Anadarko and these oil companies are as powerful as people claim them to be, right? Or as far as we know, they're very powerful, and they pretty much run things in these states, right? Even over some of the government. So if they're that powerful, do you really think if Anadarko wanted it open and shut, they would allow all of that information to be released to us for over 2 years now? If they didn't want the bad publicity or the focus on them, right, with the whole acquisition or whatever the case may be, why would they allow all this information to be released? If they're as powerful as they say. If what some people are claiming as far as Anadarko, having this case, make it go away, if they can have the ability to do that, then why wouldn't they have the ability to stop all this information from being released? And why would Weld County, the FBI, CBI release this amount of information, again, just to make themselves look incompetent? Because that's what they look like. They look like fools. They look like idiots because they didn't do what they needed to do to investigate Kessinger, number one, and to fill in all the holes in this case. Because there's zero reason, why, with the amount of information released, I don't want to say evidence because that's considering there was hardly any evidence in this case. I'm going to say just information or data, right? Doesn't have to be factual data, just the amount that was released. Why would Weld County, the FBI, and CBI release that much information just to, again, look like fools? And I'm like, I have to take a deep breath here. Why do I always lose my thought? Am I the only streamer that does this? I hope not. No, I think there's somebody else does that too. Is it Zav? I think Zav does that sometimes. She's like, what was I saying? I'm like, oh girl, I feel your pain, trust me. But no, Zav, she's great. I love it. She does such a great job on her streams. But It'll come to me. Oh, okay. It came to me. That was quick. There's no reason why, with the amount of information they released, that there should be so many unanswered questions. Why are there so many holes and unanswered questions in this case? When they're supposed to be transparent and, you know, as far as I know, the reason why they release this information to us is to give us, you know, transparency, one, to give us reassurance that the government and law enforcement are doing what they need to do in order to make sure that these murderers and these criminals are brought to justice, right? Because what other reason would they have? I mean, I know a reason, but what other reason besides, based on what they're telling us, why would they release this information? What would be the purpose of it? Unless it were to give us transparency and to give us closure and some sort of relief, right? But it did the exact opposite of what the purpose of doing that is. It's actually left us more confused with more questions than in cases that they haven't released this amount of information. Why? That's what people need to ask. Why is this the only case where they release so much information, and why is this the only case that people can't seem to get away from? And that's another one of those things with that other, in this, there's more events that have these same red flags that I tell you guys about. But the reason why I bring up the event prior to the Watts case is because they have all of the exact same red flags. Even though, you know, they're two different tragic events. So I don't want you guys to think that, oh, she's just bringing up one event and that's it. And, you know, the rest of them that she's trying to claim as orchestrated or whatever, she's not bringing those ones up. But I have enough time just talking about the Watts case without having to worry about algorithms. So, but again, the case before this, the event, whatever. If I was on DLive, I could just say what it was, but I can't right now. Or if I was just only on DLive. So that's the reason why I bring that one up a lot specifically, because they are so similar. Like, I mean, not even similar, like exact, actually, as far as the red flags go. So I literally watched the same thing happen with that event prior to this one happen with this case. And it's still unfolding, right? Thank you, Beetlejuice. I appreciate it. Oh, thanks, Monica. So, with that other event, from the moment it happened, people were had already started to see inconsistencies on day one of that event in Las Vegas. And from that day, and even me, and again, I didn't make content or anything, but I followed that event like I do this one pretty much, besides making the videos. I'm not sure why the chat's not moving. It's not moving on the screen, or I'm not sure. Maybe nobody's saying anything. Maybe they're just shocked. No, I'm just kidding. So from day one, like I said, they started noticing inconsistencies right off the bat. You also have your numerology that a lot of these truth channels were noticing, and your occult symbolism, and that's two big red flags that you're going to want to look out for in events in the future. I mean, if you want to learn about these events, those are going to be two of the ones that you're going to want to definitely look out for. Because again, they put it right in front of our faces, you guys. They do not hide it. Oh, there we got. Hey, Liz. Good to see you. So again, from day one, they were making videos, and they released all of the body cam footage, or not all of it, right? We don't know. Whatever they wanted us to see, but more than they would, any other time. Normally you would have to file FOIA requests for any of this information, right? Like even in the Watts case, you'd have to file, depending on the agency, you'd have to file CORA or FOIA to get the discovery, the body cam footage, any of it. They don't just release this amount of information just because they want to be so transparent, right? They think that people think that they're doing us a favor by doing this for us because they care about the public, right? Wrong. They don't care. They don't give a lick about us. So usually you would, and that's not even promised even when you file to get or request the information. So just like with this case, all of the body cam footage, 911 calls, witness statements, the case report, probably, a bunch of other stuff, like filler stuff that we didn't even need, the autopsy reports. And the autopsy reports were incomplete in that case, just like they're incomplete in this case. People will say, oh, it's because they redacted it, because they're graphic. I don't care, right? The reason why, again, they are releasing this information to us is because we have a right to know what's going on, right? Or what's happening. If you're going to release the information and act transparent, then release all of it. I'm not talking like I'm not talking about the autopsy photos. But don't just, release some information here and some of the so what are you trying to say? That we the public, are we not adults enough? Are we not capable of reading autopsy reports, the full autopsy reports? So why try to say you're being transparent and only give us part of the autopsies? It doesn't make any sense, you guys. So again, just like with that other event, his autopsy was only like 10 pages. It was very, very short. No, I don't know like the common number of pages for an autopsy report. I did go down that rabbit hole. I found several. And from the ones that I did find, like Whitney Houston, the woman who had the bypass surgery, who had complications on the table. So those are two, different scenarios. And I think a couple other ones, but they were, Whitney Houston's was like around 42 pages long. Right. And that was just, she's a celebrity, but either way, it's like, and especially with a homicide case, in a homicide case, the pathologist or the coroner, they have to do a full, complete autopsy in homicide cases. So that means the whole shebang. So whether it be the x-rays to the what is it, the T cut, is it the Y cut or T cut? I think it's Y. So from the chest down, you have to do all the blood work, all the, just whatever, you name it. I'm not going to go through all the not that I could, because I'm not a pathologist, but draining of the, and I know this is kind of graphic, but draining of the fluids, right? And I read that, in my autopsy research, which if anybody saw my search history, like, or police or anything, they would be like, I think you need to come with us, ma'am. Right? I'd be like, no, but I was just looking that up for a case. Sure, okay, let's go. Come on, we got a nice padded room for you, right? No, because I'm looking up strangulation, right? And I'm looking up autopsies. I'm looking up crude oil contents. I'm looking up, you name it. You guys know. Hey, Spacebound. Because I'm sure you guys have researched all that kind of stuff as well, or for the most part, some of it. But I've got saved pictures of other manual strangulation cases, and just you name it. So, but they have to do a complete autopsy. And again, why, if they're supposed to be transparent, only release some of it? Like, we can't handle it. Like, so what are they trying to say? That we are not capable of, reading an autopsy report. But that's the reason why, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they release this information, so, or supposedly. Because the mainstream media made a big fuss about it because it's a high profile case, but even though the mainstream media is all run by the powers that be, so they're just puppets. The mainstream media is just puppets to these elite and these the people that are orchestrating these events, you guys. They're just following orders, just like everybody else below them. It's not their opinions, or it's not their, it's what they're being told to put out as far as pushing a narrative goes. But with the other case, again, it was claimed that the mainstream media again made a big deal about it because it was one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, tragedy in U.S. history as far as what goes. So they're telling us that the mainstream media is suing the police department and whatever because they're not releasing information, but it's just a ruse. It's like it's just their little tricks that they use, right? So they go, hey, in order to just release this information, we can't just like release this information and go, here you go, guys, and then not have like, since they never do it hardly ever, right? They're not just going to go, here you guys go. We just want to give you all this information because we want to be nice. Merry Christmas. No, it's not, they can't just do that. So what they do is they make up this whole thing, like, to where the mainstream media is going to start suing, right? They're not suing, but they're going to, they're filing lawsuits against the police department so that they will release the information about this tragic event. When really they're all working together, you guys. It's little big tricks like that they use. So now, right? Now they have an excuse to release all this information without anybody questioning it, going, that's weird. They never released this information before. Why would they just like hand it over, and all the body cam footage and the 911 calls? Like, that's weird. Because they have the whole thing about how the mainstream media was filing those laws. We don't have any proof if they really were. How do we know? Unless we work in that courthouse, or we're actually working that case. Like, we would know, and they know that. We have no way of vetting that. But the majority of people are just going to believe, because the mainstream media told them, that they were filing lawsuits to get that information released. Because why would anybody question it otherwise, right? They wouldn't. So they released all that information, and what is it? That was in 2017. So we're going 4 years now. What? Yeah, 4 years now. People are still to this day doing the same thing that people are doing with this Watts case, trying to figure out what in the hell happened that day, because there's so many inconsistencies. But it's done like that for a reason, you guys, because they released the information on purpose with so many holes in it. They make it impossible to solve it, right? Or to find out what happened. And that's why they leave us with so many unanswered questions. And why they don't come out and answer any of them for us, right? As they should, considering that they're supposed to have our best interests in mind, right? Especially the DA and, law enforcement. There's still people trying to file, I don't know if I said this, but there was like the FOIA requests, and they're getting denied. They're never going to get those FOIA requests. And do you think that the mainstream media, after they were done pushing their narrative onto the public, the official narrative, do you think that they ever covered any of the inconsistencies in that event that didn't add up? Any of the holes? The reason why the girlfriend wasn't investigated? Do you think that they covered any of that on their shows? No. Because they're not going to. Because their job is to get that official narrative out there to as many people as possible and as quickly as possible. And to beat it into our heads. Right? Because again, the majority of people will listen to CNN or Fox News or whatever the case may be and just 100% believe it because they heard it from the media. And they just believe it as factual. So if you have the media pushing that narrative and you have professionals, right, like Dr. Phil and all those pushing that narrative even more because people are more inclined to believe professionals, obviously, than over someone like myself, because I'm not a psychologist, right? But if there's a professional on Dr. Phil's show, and they're saying that Chris Watts is a narcissist or that this other person is whatever, then it must be true, right? Because they're professionals. Or because they're mainstream media. No, it's not the case at all. So just like how the mainstream media stopped covering that case once the official narrative was beat into our heads, same thing with this case. Why is the mainstream media not covering this big breaking news about the 35C? And why is the mainstream media not covering the Vaseline story? Because it's all tabloid gossip. I mean, like, not the 35C. I mean, it is gossip, but like the Vaseline and the boxer swap out and the Kessinger writing Chris in prison and Chris telling, this is so ridiculous, Chris telling David, the inmate supposedly, right, that was like his cellmate for a time being, even though David is moved between prison to prison, back and forth, before he can even have a chance to change underwear. He's moved all the time. But yet, Dylan is able to write a book over a period of 6 months with Chris, even though he was also doing the same thing, in, out, in, out, in, out. So why is the mainstream media not covering, again, any of this breaking news that has come out about this case? About Kessinger's name change, or, there might be like a couple of articles online, but you don't see Fox covering this case. Hey, Slink. Hey, Easy Money. Good to see you. You don't see them covering any of this stuff. Like, how long has it been since any of the mainstream media outlets have covered this Chris Watts case? About anything. And not on social media. I'm talking like Fox News, and you know what I mean? Like, do you think that if there was a chance that Chris could literally, it's hypothetically, let's say if he's really in prison, if he had an opportunity to get a 35C, or talk of at least going to trial or whatever, do you really think that the mainstream media is not going to cover that? I mean, that's pretty significant if we're talking about the possibility of a convicted or confessed murderer or whatever of a high-profile quadruple homicide case could potentially have another chance in court. That you don't think that the mainstream media is going to cover it? Why is it only on social media? Because the mainstream media, they're always trying to get the breaking news, right? So again, mainstream media didn't cover it with the other case prior to this one. Many, many holes in the narrative. Only showed us what they want us to see, what pushes the narrative, and they know that they only need a certain amount of information to convince the masses, right? So they don't have to go and release a I don't know how, you guys would know, like, what's the average discovery page size or whatever of a homicide case, right? What are they, like 20,000 or something? I mean, even regardless if he pled guilty, right? There's so much information missing in this case. You're talking 3 months worth of investigative work, right? That's a lot. Especially if you're, you're talking about, again, a quadruple homicide case, a high profile one. And it actually doesn't even matter if it's high profile or not. In a murder case, you're going to cover every square inch, right? And then people will say, well, they had to redact certain things or something because we don't need to know everything. Have you guys heard somebody say that before? We don't, it's not, they don't owe us anything, right? They were nice enough to release all this other information to us, right? But they don't have to show us everything. If they're going to show us some of it, yeah, they do. Like, I don't want to see just parts of the discovery. I don't want to see over 230 freaking pages of letters from women that wrote to Chris in prison. What in the world does that have anything to do with the case? With the investigation? Zero. And they wrote him after he had already confessed. Or he was at least in Weld County by then. So what does that have to do with the case? And do you think that they're going to tell us why they put over 230 pages of letters from women to Chris in the discovery? Do you think they're going to explain why that's significant for us? No, they're not going to do that. Because one, it's filler, because it fills in a bunch of pages to make it look like we got a lot of information, and I get it. I mean, granted, we have almost 2,000 pages, right? More than any other case at all at once, right? Or in a couple dumps. So where is all that information? And why is there so much filler? I mean, literally, I counted over 230 pages of letters from women. If anybody's good at math, please tell me what that percentage of 2,000 is, because that's crazy. That's kind of like a pretty big chunk out of 1,960 pages. And not only that, you have over 230 of the letters, and then you have pages that, again, if this sounds repetitive, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to justify myself. It's important. So I'm going to say it. I will repeat myself as long as I have to about this information. And again, if I'm repeating it, it's because it's important. And it's because I'm not telling you what you want to hear, and I'm not covering the drama in the Vaseline stories and the 35C, because it's all hogwash. All of it. If you want drama, go watch a drama series on TV. Go back to high school if you want drama. I can't give that to you here. I'm like, I don't understand what the thing is with drama. I avoid it like the plague. But you're not going to find that here. So if this is boring and not exciting, oh well. Good thing about, as far as being American goes, we still have the ability to choose what we want to watch and don't want to watch, right? So that's a big chunk, right? With the letters. But then you have pages in the Discovery that have one Post-it note, like a photocopy of one Post-it note. There's like, I don't know how many pages of the BOLO, the Be on the Lookout flyers that have Shanann and the girls on them. There's like multiple duplicates of those pages. There were many of the pages have only like one sentence on them. Some don't even have, they only have a page number on them and no context at all. It's like, what did you give us? What did you give us that makes us understand what in the hell happened with this case, or why Chris did what he did? They didn't give us anything. Yeah. Again, is almost 2,000 pages a lot? But it's 2,000 pages of nonsense. There's nothing that gives us any closure as far as what evidence they gave us in this case. And I'm not even talking about, like, again, the autopsy photos or any of the other evidence, right, that they redacted or they didn't show us. I'm talking about evidence on text, right? And you're telling me that you can't release Kessinger's, well, I already know because they didn't do it, number one. But based on the official narrative, you can release all the personal information of people involved in this case, even minors or juveniles. But you can't release Kessinger's data dump. I want to know who's writing these women and David level back, because we all know there's no Chris Westfield, right? I know, that's the thing too. Like, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, let's say that even if Chris was writing these, or is writing these women, right, that are seem to want to tell the world that they're writing, and nothing against them, nothing. I'm not judging them, right? People can talk to whoever they want to, and it's not my place to judge. It doesn't matter if it's a, mass murderer, or if it's a unicorn that they write. I don't know. Stupid example. But the issue I have with it is not that they're writing them. It's the fact that they are coming on social media and telling the world that they're writing an allegedly convicted felon, right? Family annihilator, who not only murdered, but murdered children and women, right? Or a woman. Based on the official narrative, of course. I have to keep saying that because I just have to use examples as far as that goes. But, so that's what I'm questioning. Why is it that, and I don't want to get off track, but I want to go back to the fact that they didn't tell us anything in this case, and to the comparison between the two. So this isn't too long. How long has it been already? Like 4 hours? Just kidding. Oh, almost 2. Okay. So I gotta make this quick. But, hi, kitty. Hi, little kitty. I love you. What you doing? Hi. Don't step on Mama's computer, okay? He likes to jump up and onto my laptop keyboard, and he likes to just sit down on it. So my issue is, again, not that they can write whoever they want to write, but why is it that they are telling everyone on social media that they're writing and befriending a says the official narrative murderer, right? Like, to me, that would be something personal between myself and to the person that who's in prison that I'm writing, not to tell everybody on social media about it. But again, I don't even want to talk about that much, because it's just ridiculous. But just because these women are writing him in prison, it doesn't mean he's in prison. And I know that's very hard for some people to grasp, but it really doesn't. Like, it's like they really do need to think outside the box and think that's true. I mean, just because he could write to them wherever he would, you can slap an address on it, right? And send it there. But that doesn't mean, you could do that. I could do that with any letter, right? To any address. And the post office is going to stamp it and send it, right? But that doesn't prove anything. So again, what information did they give us in this case that gave us any type of closure or any security that law enforcement did their jobs? Or, based on the official narrative, that they have everybody who was involved off the streets, right? Again, that's completely against my theory, but I just want to say it as an example. What's the point of releasing the information if we have no idea what the fuck happened in this case? Zero. What was the purpose of it? If someone can literally answer that question for me, then that great. But as far as I know, nobody can answer that question. Sure, they could say it's a cover-up. But why would law enforcement, or whoever, right? The government, law enforcement, or Anadarko, since they have so much power, why would they release this information that just pretty much makes them look incompetent? Like they don't know how to do their job. Look at the body cam footage. Oh my gosh. This is like one of the more ridiculous things about this case is that body cam footage that we've all seen of them taking the evidence of Survey 319 to the evidence, the drying locker, right? Or the forensics laboratory or whatever. I mean, you literally have Baumhover on the phone with Officer Perez saying, he's going, what do I do with the dirt, the leftover dirt from Survey 309? And Baumhover, and you can hear him if you put like earbuds in or turn it up. He's like, well, this isn't word for word, but I don't know. I mean, just the dirt. I guess whatever. He's like, well, yeah, there's like a bunch on the table. And he's like, oh, I guess just brush it off the table or into the trash can. Like, wait, what? Why did you bring that dirt to be preserved? Because there could be potential evidence in it, right? Okay, Octavia, good night. Thank you for being here for a little bit. Appreciate it. I'm glad you made it. Did you get a notification? Hey, Amanda. So why did they even bother to collect that dirt, which I don't even know. It's not even that much dirt. I mean, if you see the size of that paper bag, you're talking about a whole, grave that Shanann was in. And do you think they tell us where specifically the dirt's from, or why they specifically collected the dirt, for what potential evidence that was in there? No. As far as I know, they didn't. They're not specific about anything in this case. It's very, very broad and very, very vague. Even though, yes, there is almost 2,000 pages. But they could have given us so much more information in those 2,000 pages that could have possibly given us or gave us more closure, right? Or more understanding. But on that body cam footage, Baumhover literally tells them to brush the evidence, the dirt evidence that they took out of that paper bag, brush it onto the floor or into the garbage. Oh, it's okay, Amanda. I just wanted to say hi. I throw myself off track. But, yeah, they just throw it onto the ground. In a quadruple homicide case, you guys, Baumhover, the lead detective, tells him to brush the evidence, the dirt evidence, into the trash can. Officer Perez, he has gloves on, right? Well, at least they put gloves on this time. They didn't do it for the house, right? So, I mean, I guess that's better. But he's holding his dirty cell phone, and if you guys know about germs, right, besides your steering wheel of your vehicle, your refrigerator door handles, and I think the toilet sink, your cell phone is one of the dirtiest items that you use every single day and the most bacteria-ridden things, right? So here he is with his gloves, right? Good Perez, holding his dirty cell phone, and God knows what he's touched before, or, he put those gloves on and using his phone every day. So now he's all that, bacteria or whatever and dirt and is on those gloves that he's using to hold the evidence. It's not realistic. Where is the making sure that everything is preserved? The handling of that evidence is so ridiculous. And that's the crazy part, is that the majority of people will not ever question it. They will see the body cam footage, and all they're going to know in the back of their head or the back of their mind is, and they're just going to see those Shanann and those and Bella and Cece and Nico, right? So even though they literally see evidence being wiped off the table on this body cam footage, they're never going to question it, because all they have is oh my God, this is terrible. That was the dirt that Shanann was buried in. Oh my God, and her shirt that she was buried in. This is so horrible. This is horrific. And this Chris Watts is a monster, right? And now you have people watching that footage where they're just so emotional. Maybe not the evidence footage, but I'm just using an example that Because anything that they show us is going to, especially for people that are more sensitive to these kind of tragic events, it's going to be a trigger for them. Just seeing that dirt wiped on and seeing Shanann's clothes hanged up in the rack, right, in the drying rack. So when people are emotional and upset, they don't think logically because they're so upset. It's just, again, logic goes straight out the window. And the majority of people aren't going to question it. That's the funny part about it. I mean, nothing's funny about this case, but the fact that they're so sloppy is what's funny, but they don't care. They don't care because, again, they know the majority of people are never going to question it ever, right? Because they think if they see it on body cam footage, then that means it's real, and it's not. It does not mean it's real. It means that you're being told this is what's happening, and yes, are you seeing it on video? But does that make it factual, or does it make it factual because law enforcement or the government told us? Because why? Because they're higher authority? Being higher authority doesn't make you a saint or doesn't make you a good person. And just because you are what, government or law enforcement, does that mean that you are superior to us? No, I don't think so. So, again, why would they release this information with so many holes and so much like irrelevant information and stupid fillers like the letters? And why didn't they ask Chris why he searched for 2 different volcanoes? I think it's Molina and Partukin or something. Why did law enforcement think it was so relevant and significant to put... and we're talking about, do you guys... I don't know how many times a day you search on your phones or on your computers for different information. But why do they think that certain, like, granted they're law enforcement, but we, the public, should be able to decide whether or not the information they give us is relevant or not. So we want all the information. Don't, cherry pick what you guys think is relevant to the case and tell us that that's what this is or that's what that is, right? Or this is why Chris did this. They leave these little side notes in the discovery like, I believe it's like personal opinions of the police officer. And to me, that was weird. Like, why are you putting your own personal take on what you believe, or why you think Chris sent this text message to Shanann or whatever? Like, that's not your job. Your job is to find the facts, not tell us that you believe this is why this happened or that happened. That's not what I want to hear when I'm reading something that's supposed to be factual, like a case report, right? So I want all that information. And I want your opinions left out of it, law enforcement. Thank you. So, and why did they put that? We got maybe like 10 searches from a 3-month span. You're telling me that the only things that you guys found relevant to in Chris's phone to as far as what he searched on the internet is a couple hotels in Aspen, the sand dunes, which conveniently aligns with the narrative that they went to the sand dunes, right? Okay, well, thanks. You already told us we went to the sand dunes. We don't need to know that he searched for it. And the same thing happened with the other case as well. Very, very small amount of searches from the accused. And it just so happens that all of those searches, like the whole 10 of them, just happen to match the narrative, right? It's like, oh, he looked up concert venues and he just so happened to, you know what, to people at a concert. And he searched for, whatever. Like, I'm not going to give you the examples, but it's just so convenient. Everything's so convenient in this case. So why did they think that only giving us 10, search, I don't know how many they were, but there was very, very small amount of searches between Kessinger and Chris, right? I mean, literally, if you guys knew how much I searched for a day on my phone, my search history would be, like, for a period of 3 months, 20,000 pages in itself. So the fact that they're telling us that Chris and Kessinger only searched, like, Kessinger only searched for double penetration and threesomes, and did people hate Amber Fry? That's it. That's all that woman searched for. At 31 years old, right? Or whatever. It doesn't matter the age. But in a 3-month period. Which they should have even gone back further than that. But they don't. Of course, it always starts right when the narrative starts. Right when the story starts. The opening chapter, right? You're back, Ola? Did it work? Did you fix it? I don't know what you're fixing, but does it sound? So you only gave us a couple of Chris's search history, and 2 of them were about volcanoes. And do you think that they explained to us why they thought that the volcano searches were relevant to put them in the discovery? Do you think that they said, we believe that Chris searched for volcanoes? Because they didn't even say that. They just said Chris searched for 2 volcanoes. And then do you think that they asked Chris in his interviews, hey Chris, or when they were back in Wisconsin, you had some searches online that, do you like volcanoes or something? Were you going to plan on, taking Kessinger, running away with Kessinger to Hawaii? And does she like volcanoes? Whatever. They never asked him why he searched for certain things that he did, or Kessinger. I mean, I guess the double penetration thing is probably self-explanatory, right? But they felt like it was important enough to put it into the case discovery. Do you think that they asked her in her interviews why she searched, or why she Googled how to delete text messages? Or dang it, I hate using Google because I don't like to give them any free publicity. Not that it would be a lot on my part, but anyway, I just try to avoid it. Anti-Google. But no, they don't bother to ask her why she searched for how to delete text messages, or why she searched for the Saratoga Trail, or why she even looked up Chris and Shanann in that stupid 2017 search or whatever, right? Why is it significant? Why do they think it's, and I know I'm repetitive, but it's important. Why was it so important to put it in the discovery, but it wasn't important enough to ask her in her interview? Or him? Chris, why did you search for GIT? I'm not familiar with GIT. Is that a computer program? Is that Git? Is that the GitHub? Is that an acronym for something? Was it a typo? Can you fill us in on the Git search, right? That's a cute sticker, Beetlejuice. No, they don't. Or, hey Chris, why did you search for Oxy? God forbid freaking Tammy or Coder, ask him why he searched for the Oxycontin, but they don't. Why don't they do that? Why do they put that shit in the discovery and not tell us or give us an explanation why they thought it was relevant enough to put it in there? Because they want us to go down these rabbit holes and go, why did he search the Oxy? This is so crazy. Like, oh my God, like we got to figure out, like, and then we come up with all these theories, and 2.5 years later, here we are. And then of course you don't have Sherilyn Cadle, people like Sherilyn Cadle, who is a plant in my opinion. She doesn't help by throwing out these ridiculous, supposedly things that Chris told her. Oh, I'm going to take it to my grave, who gave me the Oxy. It's all nonsense, you guys. Like, they want us to be confused. They want us to try and figure out why he searched for the Oxy. They want us to try and figure out why he searched for dioptase. They want us to try and figure out why he searched for volcanoes, right? I mean, I was looking it up. And in my opinion, based on my theory, it's because it means something. Because they symbolize something. It represents something. Because that's what they're all about. They're all about their symbolism. And just because Chris searches for Oxy, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's oxycodone or it's a medication or a drug. Because things can have different meanings or multiple meanings. And that's what they like to do as well. They like to use like certain words or certain things to where when you put it into context, it means one thing, but to them it means a completely different thing. So when I see the Oxy, what I see based on how I know how these people work, right? If you look up Occidental, their abbreviation is OXY. Oxy, which I don't know why, because of course it's OCC, Occidental, it's not OXY. But I don't know, I guess I don't know how abbreviations work, per se. But either way, it's OXY. So, again, what are the odds? It's another coincidence that Chris just happened to be searching for Oxy, and Occidental and Anadarko just said that acquisition right after the murders happened. It's something we call foreknowledge. They're telling us before it happens that that deal was going to happen, in my opinion. Just like Chris's whole communication course thing that's still on his YouTube channel. The Convicted Family Annihilator still has a YouTube channel, you guys. I'm pretty sure that YouTube probably knows that he's not going to be using his channel anymore. And even if he could, why would they leave a channel of a convicted murderer? Alleged, right? Says the narrative. Because they want people to watch the Netflix or to hear about the case and go and search for Chris Watts and find his channel. And what do we do when we find Chris's channel, YouTube channel? We find his communication class speech. What happens in that speech? He pretty much lays out the entire narrative, very similar to the American Horror Story trailer or teaser on Nate's TV, right? Chris talks about in that video how, well, you guys have seen it, right? How two people can start to fall out of love, and how technology can cause people to grow apart because we're always on our phones. And then, or then they start talking about having another baby and to rectify the relationship, hoping that that's going to bring them closer together, right? And then as they grow apart, then, and this isn't word for word, of course, and then he uses the example that one of them might meet a coworker that they like, or they starts off as friendly, and then it turns into a relationship, and then, I mean, he literally tells the narrative in that stupid communication speech. It's to, you know, subconsciously condition us, or whatever, if you want to call it foreknowledge, or if you want to call it foreshadowing, or whatever the term in story writing is. That's why, in my opinion, his channel is still up. They want people to go and search for him and watch that. And then go, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like, Chris, I was watching his YouTube channel, and he's got this communication speech, and he literally, like, spelled out the entire, like, what happened in the Watts case, like, almost to a T. Isn't that crazy? And I'm not making fun, but I'm just saying, but that's what people do. And it's understandable, of course. But it's not coincidental. You know, it was done that way on purpose. And again, why isn't anybody questioning why his channel is still... I have to worry about keeping my channel going every time I go live, like, just for saying certain words. But a convicted murderer, as you know, what we're told, why would YouTube keep that up? Why would they want to be associated with that? Why would they want his channel up still after 2 hours, 2 years? Because they want people to go and watch it and see that it follows the narrative, and they're going to say, oh my God, that's crazy, that it must just be a sign, or it's a coincidence. It's not coincidental, you guys. It was done on purpose. It's left up on purpose. That American Horror Story teaser was put there on purpose. 1, because it gives the show publicity. 2, people go and watch the show just like I did. And they put all their predictive programming in there, and their Easter eggs, and their symbol, you know, and their little connections. For whatever reason, again, there's, you know, a couple different theories. But it doesn't really matter why they do it. It's that they're doing it. And they're doing it, and they're mocking us. And that's, you know, it's one thing to orchestrate these events and to lie to millions of people. And for some people, for a lot of people, affect their lives, like physically, emotionally, to where some people can't even sleep at night. And that's really sad, you know? But it's, like I said, it's one thing to orchestrate it, but it's another thing to mock us. They mock us with their symbolism and their predictive programming, and it's right in our faces, and that's, you know, pisses me off even more. Is the mockery of it all. So, and I haven't been able to look at chat, but again, if anybody could please tell me why they released all this information and why we have so many unanswered questions. And if it was a cover-up, if it was just a cover-up by law enforcement because they wanted it open and shut, and, you know, Rourke wanted a gold star for getting the accused behind bars, right? And he avoided the taxpayers a ton of money because it didn't go to trial. So now he looks like the hero, right? Good old Rourke, looking out for everybody's best interests. Bullshit. Because if you were, you would not have left us with all these unanswered questions, and you would have done your job and investigated the case. And you know. But they're never going to answer those questions for us, ever. And they release all this information on purpose, because it's It's all the psychological aspect of it. The PSYOP, the social experiment. You know, we're essentially like lab rats. That's one of the agendas for this. They want to see what triggers us, what doesn't, what pulls at heartstrings, what we're talking about, what drives us. It doesn't, like, they're constantly surveilling us so that they can use that against us in the future. And I know this kind of sounds like I'm getting like all conspiratorial, but I mean, it's anything you say on social media, on the computer, or I mean, at least the internet is being documented, you guys. They literally have computer software that collects data from us. Like we're literally like lab rats, but without the, you know, syringes and the cages. They do these events to sway our opinions, to get us to comply to certain things, to condition us. So again, if it was just a cover up, they would not have just complied or just allowed the mainstream media for making a hype about it. Who cares? Like, it's just all, again, it's like just not I don't know if ruse is the right word, but it's just a tactic that they use. So why would they just go, okay, mainstream media, I understand you're upset. This is a quadruple homicide case, so I agree. We should release all this information and be transparent, but we're not going to give them any information, pretty much. So that defeats the entire purpose. And not only that, but we're going to make ourselves, law enforcement and the government and Rourke, we're going to make ourselves look incompetent. Like, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, right? Sorry, excuse my language. But why would they release all this information? To make themselves look like idiots? Because that's what they look like. They look like idiots. They look like they have no idea what they're doing. They don't even know how to properly collect dirt or handle evidence, or many, many, many other things that I don't need to list that you guys know. But if someone can please tell me why they would do that, release the information, make themselves look stupid and like they don't know what they're doing, just so that they can cover the entire thing up. Like, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense, you guys. If it was a cover up, then just don't release the information at all. Then that's, you wouldn't have anything to cover up, right? And if Anadarko, again, is so powerful, I'm pretty certain that they would not allow any of this discovery to be released. And not only that, they would not have allowed it to stay up for over 2 years now if Anadarko wanted this gone, right? Because having Chris plead guilty, let's just say hypothetically, if Anadarko somehow, was able to get Chris to plead guilty to it, so there's no trial, and to close the case down, that doesn't get rid of the case, because now they just released all this information. Well, all this information, not a lot, but you know what I'm saying? That information, period, would not have been released. And it definitely would not have been up for over 2 years now if Anadarko did not want any of this information getting out. Does that make sense? Because that would be so much work. It's like, we're corrupt and we didn't do what we needed to do in this investigation, but here, we're going to release all this information. Make ourselves look like fools, pretty much. And not only that, but not even, come out and say, hey, look, and answer our questions for us, right? And say, we did what we needed to do. There's no cover-up. But they don't ever say that. Actually, they do say that. But, which is telling because why do they have to say there's no cover-up? But they did that in the other event, in the other events as well. But they don't come out and answer those questions for us, is what I mean. Oh, you're fine, Monica. I know, and of course I'm probably in circles and repeating myself a lot, but the questions that are again so important, and now I'm repeating myself again, but they are. These are the questions that we need to be asking. And instead of, and I know that again I don't have the ability to give you guys solid evidence all the time. But they didn't give me that choice because they scrub the information. They've scrubbed any evidence that I could give you guys, right, from these other events. Any information where other people, even experts on conspiracy theories and orchestrated events, any information that they talk about, it's gone, right? Some of it might still be there, but you gotta freaking search for it. That's why they're hitting people for privacy complaints, you guys, and privacy strikes. Even though that stupid discovery was if anybody should be getting the strikes or the claims, it should be law enforcement or the mainstream media for releasing personal information of people involved in this case. So why didn't those people hit mainstream media or the government up for releasing their private information to millions of people? And now you guys want to come in here on social media and start to hit us and say that we're violating somebody's privacy, even though you guys didn't bother to redact anything from the beginning? It's because they're trying to cover their asses. Because, here's an example of something that I kind of didn't really think of before. If they released that discovery, right? And the way that it should have been released is you should have been seeing a lot of black, right? Besides Christopher Watts, because he's incarcerated, right? Allegedly. So it doesn't matter about his personal information. He's not using it anymore. You know what I mean? Either that, or if information is shown like a social security number, it's probably because the accused or convicted is dead, right? Maybe he committed suicide or police killed him or something, right? That would be the only reason why information like that would not be redacted, because he's no longer here, or she. But if they released the discovery and redacted it and protected the private personal information of people involved in this case, so their names, their numbers, whatever, how would we be able to go look up Nicole Atkinson? And how would we be able to go and look up Troy McCoy and his background and and dive into that? And we definitely wouldn't be able to come up with these theories as to maybe Troy, why he went back for the wrench, or whatever. Because if all those names were redacted, we wouldn't know who the hell they were talking about. We wouldn't be able to go and dive down the rabbit holes that we've been doing for 2.5 years. Because how are you going to go look up someone, when it says, oh, let's say it says Nicole Atkinson, but it says blank or blank blank showed up to blank 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 and then blanked at this time, called 911. It's like, okay, well, we don't know who blank 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 is. But when you have names and addresses and you have many of the people involved in the case doing interviews on social media, all the families still involved on social media, right? Since when does that ever happen? And if it has happened, because again, I don't know a lot of, this is still, even though it's been 2 years, my first true crime case, if that's happening, it's probably because it's orchestrated. It's like, why didn't the Lindstroms go on Dr. Phil and give interviews and stuff? Why did they decide to do an interview either on the day of or very close to the 2-year anniversary? I mean, what makes that, doesn't give that drama, Why would you pick the 2-year anniversary to finally come out and do an interview on a radio station that I've never even heard of? I can't even find where they're even based out of. I'm assuming it's Las Vegas, which is very interesting. I'm not going to go there, based on the cup that Jeremy was drinking out of. It said Vegas Strong. I have a theory on that. I'll save that for another time. And then you have Lauren Arnold that goes on Jay for Justice channel, right? Gives an interview around the same time of the 2-year anniversary. If all of that discovery was redacted, we would have nothing to search, right? We wouldn't be distracted. We wouldn't, as far as I know, I don't know how you would able to delve into these people's lives if their information was redacted like it was supposed to be. There's reasons why it wasn't redacted, you guys. But the majority of people are not. That's like one of the biggest red flags in this case. Is that discovery not being redacted? In the personal information and of people involved. And even when you search for them, you can't even find hardly any information about them. It's very, very difficult in these cases, in these events, to find, again, any history to them. We only know what we've been told, and that's the official narrative, right? And even if you do look these people up, and even if you find that Troy McCoy has 2 sisters and da-da-da-da, if they can erase someone's identity from the internet very easily, they can certainly create an identity. And people will say, well, that's just crazy. That's just crazy. And it's like, it really is not. It's really not that crazy at all. Whatsoever. So. Oh, something interesting though. You know how there's several of the same names in this case, like Lee and Nicole. In the other event that I've been talking about, there were 3 people, which is not that many, but you have, and I probably shouldn't even say his name, but I don't care. Sheriff Joe Lombardo. You have, I'm trying to remember her first name. Oh, Catherine. The lawyer that allegedly, or attorney that was allegedly working for whatever, representing the victims and the victims' families. Her name was Catherine Lombardo. No relation. And now Lombardo's it's not like Smith or Johnson. Lombardo is not a very popular name whatsoever. So you have 2 people involved in that case with the same last name. No relation. Then you have the girlfriend of the accused, her attorney that came out and gave a public statement for her. his name was, I think it's, I don't know for certain. I can't remember off the top of my head his first name. I think it's Matthew. Matthew Lombard. So you have 2 Lombardos and another Lombard of people involved in that case. Wonder why. There's like, there you go, with the same name thing. And I've actually never, I don't think I've looked up the genealogy or whatever, the meaning behind that last name. I may have, like, a long time ago. But, now could it be coincidental that 3 people involved, main people involved in that case, 2 of them having the same exact last name and 1 having pretty much the same but missing the O? Could it be coincidental? Yeah, it could. But when you know how these people like to use their names, because names are sacred to them and names have meaning behind them, and that's what I'm going to be talking about tomorrow. Well, hopefully tomorrow on my live stream. I wanted to schedule it kind of like, I don't know, a couple days in advance, but that never happens. Just so I could, give you guys some more heads up or whatever. But I made a PowerPoint and I compiled a lot of, and not all of them because there's so many that I've found in this case, but so that I'll probably have to do a part 2, even though I didn't want to break it up because that's kind of the issue I ran into as far as, like, all my American Horror Story Connection videos. They are broken up, so I'm just wondering if maybe that doesn't give it like the wow factor, I guess, or like the shock of it, being that maybe people don't watch them all in a row or whatever. But so I made a PowerPoint and compiled all of those connections that are in those 6 videos, and then some that aren't even in the videos, into that PowerPoint, so that you guys can see all of these coincidences, right? All these connections, right? In one spot. And so I'm hoping that will hopefully almost prove that this predictive programming and these connections that I found, there's way too many for them to be coincidental. And not only that, but there's even more than that I didn't put in the videos that are that were connections, that were similarities, but I didn't do some of those because they could be considered like maybe stretching, or they could be scenarios that they could be common or happen to anybody, I guess. So so again, there's even more, but I did add like the obvious ones that that are pretty telling. So that's the live stream I do want to do tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow. I don't ever know what time to do it, because everybody's like, I don't have a lot of subscribers that are like from overseas or whatever, or like different parts of the world. It's mostly US, but I don't think it really matters what time. It just depends on when people show up. Yeah, Sue, exactly. She says, so many times I hear creators say this just doesn't make sense, but then they go back to the beginning of the discovery over and over and over again. Yep, I 100% agree. And that's the thing too, is this case was not meant to be solved. That's why there's so many holes. And why they haven't why they didn't give us anything significant, really. I mean, think about it. They did not give us anything in that discovery that would give us any bit of closure as to why Chris did what he did, or the fact that law enforcement did what they needed to do, right? I mean, it seems like in other homicide cases, right, in true crime, you guys probably have more answers in the ones that, I think that's the point I was getting at earlier, but more answers to the ones that, and closure for the ones that didn't release this amount of information, and that whose discovery or case files are more than likely redacted, right? And I don't know, because I haven't really been in true crime as long as you guys have. So it seems, though, like those other cases that didn't have all that information released seem open and shut, and don't, I'm sure they have like inconsistencies, but not like this. You know what I mean? Like no investigation is going to be perfect, and like, you know, people, that's what true crime's about, right? That's why you guys discuss it. And I'm not saying like you guys, but I didn't even know about true crime community on here until the Watts case, so that's why I say that. But true crime is about, you know, discussing the cases and why the killers do what they do, and what makes them tick, or just whatever. People are just really fascinated with true crime. And but has there been any other cases to like where they didn't release this information? Well, actually, I know they didn't, but you guys see what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason with the amount of information they released that it shouldn't have been open and shut and have closure. But they don't want us to have closure. They don't want us to know why Chris did what he did, or give us a definitive motive as to or some sort of motive as to why he did what he did. Besides Rourke saying, I believe, right? I don't care what you believe, Rourke. And when is it your job as a DA or a prosecutor to tell us your feelings on the case, or that what you believe why Chris did what he did? You're supposed to give us facts, right? You're supposed to give us again, closure, and make us feel safe in your community, or in your county, in your state, and assure us that you did everything you needed to do to get those people off the streets and behind bars, right? And he didn't do that. I mean, he says, yep, it's not a witch hunt, and case closed. We got Chris behind, we got the murderer behind because he confessed. That doesn't give me closure at all. That's like, no, he just confessed. That doesn't give me closure for anything, or make me feel safe at all, actually. And don't tell me again, like, I believe. And if you notice in Rourke's press conferences, he has the families there, right? And it's like, they're not going to come up and talk, but I just really appreciate him being there. And then he does his whole, it's so annoying. Okay. And then I promise I'm going to end this because my voice is getting raspy already. But he says, he's like, he didn't even bother to check on him. What kind of person, like, I used to know this by heart, but like, it takes 1 to 4 minutes to strangle somebody. It's like, that's not your job, Rourke. Your job is not to drive emotion out of us, to be sympathetic to the families, right? Your job is to present us with facts and to assure us that we are safe in your state, in your county, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even bother to check on him, and I believe that it was to be with his mistress, and it's like, you believe, like, or based on the evidence that you found in your investigation, that's why Chris did what he did and committed the murders. Hello, Betsy B. Always nice to see you. And I've heard this before, and I just mentioned it earlier in the live stream. I've heard people say, Rourke doesn't owe the public anything. They don't have to answer our questions. And I don't agree with that. Rourke's job is to have our best interest in mind. He works for us. He is supposed to, like I just said, make sure that we don't have anything to worry about. That the government is doing their job. They're putting, the criminals behind bars. So to say that he doesn't owe us answers, I just don't agree with that at all. And even if it's just to the people of Weld County, do you think that some people might be okay with his he confessed and he's behind bars. But when people ask Rourke, hey, why did Nicole Kessinger search for Chris and Shanann back in 2017? Was this an error? Was this not an error? And when he comes out and circles around the question and doesn't ever come out and he goes, this is not a witch hunt and this is this, and still doesn't answer our questions, like, again, I have to disagree with you on that. Okay, again, I'm not saying that the prosecution has to give a motive, but I'm saying there's a reason as to why, one, they didn't even make Chris give a factual basis for as a part of his plea deal. It's in the stipulations. It's in the statutes. It's a stipulation. He has to provide a factual basis. The factual basis has to match the I can't remember the name of it, the something report. And if that doesn't match, if Chris's factual basis does not match the evidence that Rourke and his team presented to that trial judge, if it doesn't match, the trial judge will say, what this guy is saying as far as the crimes he committed does not match your evidence, Rourke. So I either need more evidence or this needs to go to trial. And they didn't bother to make him do that. They don't want, and you have to, this is where it gets difficult, because we're trying to go by like the law here, right? We're trying to go by the book, but these people are not going by the book, which makes it difficult, right? And then people can say, make excuses like, well, he doesn't have to give us answers. Maybe he doesn't. But I thought a district attorney or a prosecutor's job is to have the public's best interest in mind and to release information in a case that, I don't care what anybody says, has many, many holes in its narrative, and to not come out and give us some sort of closure, some sort of or attempt to give us answers to these many questions that we have. I wouldn't want him as my DA. That's for damn sure. And this is not a bias against Rourke, because I'm actually probably one of the only creators, maybe a couple other ones, in this case that has no bias coming into this case against anybody or emotion whatsoever. And you can call me heartless or whatever, but I don't, because I know what's going on with this case. And it also comes down to why they don't give us a motive. And again, it's not, they're not always going to find a motive, right? They're not. Like, sometimes you just don't. But in my opinion, with these orchestrated events, a lot of times they will not, sometimes the accused will not fit the profile. And why do you think that everybody in that knew him, right? Or in this narrative said nothing but good things to say about the guy. And I don't care how nice you are. I can't imagine that every single person that Chris knew, like, just 100% loved the guy. I mean, murder or no murder, he wasn't like all that, right? If we, look at him based on his character. So it's interesting that, again, all of the people in this narrative, his the friends of that Shanann and Chris's, and his co-workers, and Luke Epple, and everybody, like, they had nothing but good things to say about the guy, right? And the Lindstroms, well, they just, they did no problem saying stuff about Shanann. But no, that kid was just always nice. He always did what Shanann. But then the minute that he backed his truck into the driveway, it was, oh, we knew from the minute that we heard he did that. He never does that. So yeah, we knew at that time that he did something to Shanann and the girls. Like, wait, what? Because I would hate for my family and my friends who said that I was just nothing but the sweetest thing, right? So nice. But then the minute I back my car into the driveway, I'm guilty of murder. I mean, think about it. Why was everybody involved in this so quick to turn on someone that they literally just said wouldn't hurt a fly? This is just the sweetest boy in the whole world. Just the mama's boy, this Christian boy. Always on time. Never talked back, right? Nope, yep, I knew. Even Frankie Jr. was like, said on Dr. Phil. They just literally got done saying how they love the guy, and they considered him their real son, right? And he was so great to Shanann, and he let her sleep on his lap for hours, even though he had to go to the bathroom, and he went to her colonoscopy. They build this guy up to be this perfect individual, pretty much, right? But yet the minute the narrative tells them, or whatever, tells us that he backed his truck into the driveway, because he never does that. Yep, I knew he was guilty. Sandy Rusek knew that he was going to take the girls in Shanann and pour oil on them. Come again? Because you just, based on the narrative, you just literally said that Chris was pretty much perfect, right? And amazing to Shanann and everybody else. But then you heard that he was not answering his phone, and that he backed his truck in the driveway, and the first thing that came to your mind, Sandy, was that he was going to pour oil on Shanann and the girls and take them to his work. You're either very, very intuitive, or fill in the blank. Because there seems to be a lot of intuitive people in this case. Like, a lot. I mean, Sandy already knew that Chris was going to take the bodies and I mean, granted, she didn't say dump them in oil tanks, but how in the hell would why would that be the first thing that came to Sandy's mind? Out of all the places that Chris could go, and all the material or substances that he could use, she tells police that she thinks he's going to take them to his place of work and pour oil on them. Like, really? That's pretty good that she knew that. Especially since she just got done saying how great of a person he was and how much she loved him, right? And then you have the Lindstroms little boy. And don't even get me started on in the interview, right? Of a quadruple homicide case. You go to their house and don't even ask your kids to go in the other room or take your kids in the other room. I couldn't even it was so difficult for me to listen to that interview because there's kids screaming and the kids talking to the we're talking about a quadruple homicide case here, you guys. It's not realistic. Can you imagine having that interview and if it did go to trial and they had to play that to the jury and all they hear is kids screaming and he's coming up and talking to the officer while he's literally trying to figure out where in the hell or what happened to this pregnant woman and her 2 kids. I mean, again, and no, I'm not an investigator, I'm not in law enforcement, but I mean, think about it logically. Who gives an interview and doesn't say, hey, do you think that maybe you could, one, it was rude of the Lindstroms, in my opinion, to let their kids yell and whatever and be in the same room when McKenna Lindstrom is being interviewed. Again, about a triple homicide case. High profile or not high profile. Interviewing someone about the deaths of 4 people and their kids are running rampant in the room and I couldn't even myself concentrate on it. You would think if Mrs. Lindstrom is not courteous enough to take her kids or no to take her kids out of the room when you have a law enforcement asking her daughter serious questions about murders, right? If she doesn't want to do that, fine, that's on her thing, that's on her. But why wouldn't the officer say, hey, this is a really serious investigation. I need McKenna to be able to concentrate on the questions I'm asking her because the more time we take, the more difficult it is for us to find these people or to find out what happened to them I just need her to be focused because it's so important. And so do you think would you mind taking the kids into another room so that I can interview your daughter about these people being missing, right? No, that doesn't happen. And why? Why would they do that? Why would they give an interview with kids screaming in the same room? It makes no sense. It's not logical. So what I was getting at before I thought of that is, so you have Sandy that's apparently intuitive, and then you have the Lindstrom's little boy that comes up and says, well, I think I picture them being buried in a hole. That's one intuitive kid. Now, could it be coincidence? Even though this kid has, and again, why would her kid even know about them being missing? I wouldn't, if that was my kid, I would not, more than likely, how old is he? Like 4 or something? I don't know. Very, very young. I would be like, hey, your sister, she babysits for them. Well, I get being honest with your kids, but why would he even know anything that remotely about the investigation or what's going on? Why would a small child need to know that people are missing? right? And not only that, but again, and what are the odds that he would come up and say on and clear as day on the audio, I picture them being buried in a hole, a dirt, or whatever he says. It's pretty spot on for a small boy that shouldn't know anything about the case. And even if he did, how would he know that? And then you have Nicole Atkinson in her interview. She says, and it's one of those moments, kind of like the reporter that goes, hey, Shanann went to, where'd you get that shirt? It's like, okay, that was weird and like way off topic. But anyway, if you listen to Nicole Atkinson's interview, she makes it a point to tell, I think it's Baumhofer that the interviews are, I don't know. But she tells him that, she goes, I think if Chris did do something to Shanann, I think that he would strangle her. Now, to me personally, that's an odd statement because, and again, it's not solid evidence. It's not proof. It's just a statement that she made, right? But again, I look at things differently, and I look at the fact that the little boy, Lindstrom's little boy, and Sandy, and Nicole Atkinson, just all somehow happened to predict what was going to happen in the case to the victims. Again, I'm not good with math, but what are the odds of that? But she says to him literally, if Chris did do something to her, I think he strangled her. Out of all the things that Chris could have done, and even if why would she say something about that? Like, why would she go out of her way to say that? I mean, is she just trying to did she already come to the realization that something might happen? But I don't know. But again, it's strange to me, in my opinion. And yet, again, she was spot on. Chris, says the narrative, strangled Shanann. So we had 3 different people in the case that literally predicted or knew what was going to happen to those people, right? Just Shanann and the girls. And again, I don't know how I got to that, but from what Betsy said, but people can make excuses all they want or whatever. I'm not saying that Betsy's saying it's an excuse, but I'm just saying that regardless if he feels like he owes us answers, like, again, I have to disagree with that because from my research, again, the responsibility of a DA and a prosecutor is to have the public's best interest in mind. And like I said, I don't feel, even though I don't live in Colorado or Will County, I don't feel like he had anyone's best interest in mind. And for anybody to sit there and say that there's nothing wrong with this case, that there's no red flags, is in denial. Like 100% cognitive dissonance denial. And again, there's no reason why, with the amount of information they released, we should have all these unanswered questions. And if you're going to, again, maybe he doesn't have to tell us, or fill in all these gaps. But why even release the discovery in the first place if you're not going to bother to put information or evidence in there that's going to give us some sort of closure? And maybe, I don't know, Betsy, if you're still here, if you can explain to me why they would release that amount of information if they didn't have to give us answers or owe us anything. I would be honestly curious to hear your answer. on that, or your opinion. So anyways, so yeah, it's been like way over 2 hours. But, and I don't know why the chat's not moving either. I put it on the screen so that I could see you guys commenting, but who knows? It's always something. Sue Cooper, it's obvious everyone's playing a part because they all report exactly the same fabricated information. This consistency would never happen in real life. I agree. And the crazy part is I've heard a lot of people say that it feels scripted, that a lot of this case, it feels, and I kind of like, I mean, I chuckle about it because it's like they're literally saying like what I've been saying. I mean, they're literally answering and supporting my theory as far as that goes, because it does feel scripted. And why is there, I think there's 4, and I wish I would have known about the other, I think there's 2 more. Wish I would have known about them before I made my video, but you have, for whatever reason, several people in this case using no inclination in the wrong context. Like, even if inclination is a common word that, I mean, I don't personally use it all the time, but if it is a common word, what are the odds that multiple people in the same narrative used it incorrectly to describe something that they were talking about? You have Chris, you have Nick Thayer, both used it in the wrong context. You have, it's supposed to be inkling, not no inclination. And then you have Shanann's friend that wrote a letter that lives in North Carolina. A letter that she wrote, or a statement that she wrote to law enforcement. She also says no inclination in the wrong context. David Colin or whatever, in his interview, that's the one that I didn't know, and the one I just mentioned about Shanann's friend. David Cullen, in his interview, also says no inclination. And I think there might have been one more, but I mean, 4 is enough. Or Nick Thayer says, if I had any inclination that he could have done this. And it's like, and Chris says, I have no inclination. And then David Cullen. And then it's like, again, how many times do things need to happen? Or these coincidences, right? How many times do they need to happen for them to stop being coincidental? How many people have to have the same names in this case for it to stop being coincidental? How many connections in the American Horror Story and in the Watts case, how many of those does it take for it to stop being coincidental? What are the odds that the teaser on Nate's TV, the American Horror Story teaser, and Chris's communications speech just so happened to fit like pretty much the narrative to a T? Like, that's when it stops becoming coincidental and it's on purpose. And that's what I'm trying to show everybody. But I do know that it's difficult when you're told something, especially when you don't have a reason to question it in the first place. And I completely understand that. And again, I don't expect people to just believe everything I'm saying, or not believe, but see what I'm trying to show. And because sometimes it does. It could take years sometimes for a person to see these events for what they really are, and see things that our government and our mainstream media are doing that are deceiving and because not everything is what it seems. So again, I don't expect it to just be like overnight, but I just all I want is for people to just hear me out, and that's it. And because and I know I'm not the best speaker, and I know I gotta stop doing that on my live streams and giving myself a hard time about it. But I think if people do try to have an open mind, because my theory, if a person does not have an open mind, if they have so much cognitive dissonance, or if they are so emotionally affected by this case or anything else that I try to talk about, as far as the other events go, like, unfortunately, like, my channel is not for them. I wish that I could wake everybody up, but that's impossible. It's just, it's not going to happen. But I'm hoping that I can at least wake some people up to this deception. To the ones that do have an open mind and who do want to do the research, and who don't want to be duped or tricked into anything, or lied to, for that matter. So, that's my goal. Is to, even if somebody doesn't see, or anybody doesn't see my theory for what it really is, or like, ever, if they at least can leave, my channel, or part way, or whatever, and have more of an open mind and ask questions, and realize that things can be easily, or things can be perceived, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very easy to deceive people and to trick people, because again, not everything is what it seems. And now I'm just gonna go, because now I'm just like rambling and I can't finish my words. But again, I don't mean any disrespect to anybody in this case, and I know that I don't need to say this every time, but I feel like I need to, because that's just who I am. I'm not, I was raised right. My mama raised me right, and she told me to live by the golden rule, and that's, do unto others, put yourself in their shoes. Now, was I like perfect? No, like, I've made mistakes in my life, but I've obviously grown and stuff, and we should honestly all live by that rule. Like, don't do anything to someone that you wouldn't want done to you. And I don't understand why that's not an easy, that's a great rule. Not all rules are great, but to me, the golden rule is a rule that people should follow, for sure. Doesn't have to be even called a rule, but literally, it's like literally not that hard. If you don't want something done to you, why in the hell would you do it to somebody else? And it just boggles my mind that people treat people so poorly. But again, I don't mean any disrespect to anybody that has been affected by this case. But at this point, like I said before, I would just be wasting my time, and I'd be wasting all of your time by worrying about whether or not I'm going to hurt people. So I guess that's me saying it is my way of I don't know, whatever. But anyway, thank you guys for being here, and I'm sorry about what happened in the chat earlier. I don't have any moderators, so, and I'm not going to censor anybody anyways, unless of course they're being completely disrespectful and degrading, but and I apologize again for not paying attention to the chat. I'm the worst streamer ever. But that's why I keep encouraging you guys and asking you guys to go to DLive, because on DLive, like I said before, I can, even though I don't have a lot of people in my streams here on YouTube, or on DLive, it's just, 30 people, but at least on DLive, I don't have to worry about what I say, and I think that's sometimes why I do repeat myself a lot, because there's, again, certain things that I'm limited to talk about on here, so it definitely is challenging for me, to say the least. But I'll do like I'm streaming on DLive all the time, like, and it could be completely random. Like, I started today with what was it? No, I don't remember. Oh, it was about like biblical prophecy and like the Book of Revelations, which has to do with this case. You have Chris reciting the Book of Revelations. You got KK and her Revelation and the Reckoning, right? You've got Apocalypse that follows the Book of an American Horror Story, which follows the Book of Revelations, and so that was pertinent to the case. But it went from that to crop circles to music festival, rave in Florida. I don't know. So it's just completely random. But I stream on DLive all the time, and I don't have any problem, like, even if there's only 4 of you there and you have questions about the case that I haven't been able to answer over here, because I can't because of the algorithms and the censorship, or because I get on my rants and I don't pay attention, I can answer them for you guys over there and explain things a lot easier for any questions that you guys do have. So if you guys can follow me over there, great. And again, if you can't, then that's fine as well. But like I said, I have no problem streaming whenever on DLive if you guys have questions. Or even just go in there and you can comment in the chat. If you guys follow me on DLive, you can comment. There's always a chat there. It doesn't matter if I'm live or streaming or not. And just leave a question, and I might not get back right away, but I do check it throughout the day since I'm streaming over there all the time. So, again, I have no problem doing live streams and doing a Q&A over there as far as the Watts case goes. So you guys just have to tell me, because I'm not going to like go live and do a Watts Q&A if nobody shows up, so, but then again, I could just always turn it into whatever I want. So it's up to you guys, but I'm going to try to do the connections in the case PowerPoint live stream. I'm planning on today, but if not, the next day. So just, if you're not getting notifications, try to maybe just check into YouTube here and there and see if I'm live. So I'll put the link to my DLive channel in the chat, but it's also, you can click on there's like a link to it on my channel page on the top right hand corner of my channel, on my YouTube channel. And I think it's actually in this description as well, I think, hopefully, but I'll put it in right now. Okay, there's the link. And thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it, and sticking around with me. So thank you.